Okay, this is going to be part two of our last discussion entitled Recovery.
Part
Are you
deux.
ready to start the show?
Why not?
Hey, everyone, and welcome to or welcome back to One Man and One Woman, the podcast. I am one half of your co hosts, Tara Michelle.
And I am J. Flan, and I'm way too sober for this.
That's not funny. That's not funny at all. Okay, so let's get into part two of this. I hope that everyone who's out there listening now has listened to last week's episode, which was entitled Addiction. Mr. J. Flan here was very, very honest and open with us and leading us into this second episode. So the first question is, what made you decide to stop drinking?
Self-preservation. I got to the point, and again, I talked in the last episode about this book. And if you want to know what book I'm talking about, you can reach out to me. I'm just trying to play the game appropriately. But in the book, it talks about like the ways out are death, jail, and institutions. Like that's where alcoholics ended up. You either ended up in the insane asylum, dead, or in jail. And it came to be very true with me. My wife left for the second time, and I had made her a promise the first time when she left that, if I ever put her in that situation again, that and she needed to leave, that I wouldn't beg or fight or I wouldn't try to keep her there. I would just let her go because I would realize at that point, like my promises and all that were meaningless. So I really kind of knew when she left that she had left for good. Yeah, I lost the job I had. I think I did end up, I got what at the time I considered my dream job. I was a information systems engineer for Whole Foods. And if I could just quick shameless plug for Whole Foods, great company, awesome people, nothing but hippies. It's cool stuff. I hope Amazon doesn't ruin what they had going on over there. But yeah, I was an engineer, and I'm like, I'm not a college educated person. So like achieving the title of engineer meant something to me. But even in that space, like the negative self talk creeps in. I don't belong here. They're gonna find out I'm not worthy of this position. That imposter syndrome started weighing on me. I'm coming home. I'm living in a hotel room, so I'm coming home to this hotel. There's nobody in it. You know, I go from being in a house with my wife and my child to being in a hotel, by myself every night. Going to a job feeling like it's only a matter of time before they figure me out, and then coming home and being by myself. Of course, I eventually went back to the drinking, and as things progressed and they got worse, and I started not showing up for work and not being available to do things, for my daughter, for my ex-wife, or I think she was my ex-wife at the time. But if she needed help, like I just was out of it and not in shape or passed out and not receiving phone calls, and just it just started to feel like this was me, and I was never going to change, and I was never going to be any better, and that what would be more beneficial for everybody involved. My daughter, she wouldn't have to deal with the embarrassment of having a father like me, and my mom wouldn't have to worry about, what was going on with me. I'd already had a couple of hospitalizations and near death, sort of situations. My ex-wife wouldn't have to deal with the stuff anymore. Maybe life insurance could help everybody out. Like all of these thoughts, and it made perfect sense to me. So I tried to check out, and I basically tried to do it by drinking myself to death. I have esophageal varices, which are basically ulcers in your esophagus, which were a part, I guess, a symptom of my alcoholism. I was, you know, you throw up enough times. Sorry to be gross again, but you throw up enough times, you're gonna do some damage to that area. So I was trying to drink myself to the point where I would rupture those ulcers and I would bleed out, basically internally. And I came very close when the paramedics came and pulled me out of that hotel room. they couldn't find a pulse. I was conscious and talking to them the best I could. My throat was pause. My throat was pretty fucked up, but the best I could, I was trying to talk to these people, and I'm looking them in the eye, and and they can't find a pulse. Like it's the literal Walking Dead. I was a zombie, and you know, luckily for me, I'll give Texas this. Texas took very good care of me. Made it to the hospital, and I just had a doctor come in the room and just say, if I could get you some help, would you take it? At the time, I wasn't in a position to say no. So, yeah, I had to lose everything. I had to have no tomorrow, basically, and be down to nothing. I just, all right, it's this or nothing. What am I gonna do? It's this or die.
Thank you for sharing that. But you know, I'm about to. Did you really just pause that? Like, I cannot with you. Like, you can't even take this seriously. That is
Hey, man,
outrageous.
we
Outrageous, I tell you. Okay, so I want to know, I want to ask you to give us a glimpse, as much as you can, into what recovery looked like for you. And in explaining, you know, that process, you can tell us where you lived, or how those places were, the important parts, and the most important thing that I want to find out is, what was the hardest part of recovery for you?
I think I can answer the hardest part first, and then I'll get into the details. But the hardest part is it was accepting the help. I'm not that kind of person. Uh, I I believe in my intelligence, and I believe in you know my independence and my ability to take care of myself. And being at a point where I have to recognize that I can't do this on my own, that I have tried to do this on my own, and that my best thinking has gotten me in the places that I was in. That I'm going to have to listen to somebody else. I'm going to have to blindly follow somebody, even if I don't understand what they're saying or understand what they're asking me to do. I'm going to have to blindly believe in somebody else's intelligence or their know-how to get out of that. So that was the most difficult part for me, was just the letting go of the ego to be able to do that. And it took everything to kill my ego. Like, who you see now is a very different person, and a lot of this process is what built that person. So, like I said, I went to the hospital, and I don't recommend suicide watch at the hospital. Is horrible. Like, they take the doorknobs off the doors. Then you can't. There is nothing in the room. There is a person in the room with you 24/7. They watch you shower. Like, I had to shower with the door open and the curtain open. So that was a horrible experience. But I left the hospital, and they put me in a cab, and they were sending me, to one of these. I guess they call them respite homes, but they were basically homes for people who are indigent, homeless, unemployed, and possibly suffering from some sort of mental health or substance-based issue. They get you right on your meds and provide you with a place to stay, help you find resources and things like that. So they were shipping me off to one of those places. It was very late at night. Um, my like I said, my esophagus and throat had been all messed up from all of the damage I had done, and so I hadn't eaten in several days. And I show up to this place, and there's this flamboyantly gay man. It's maybe 11 o'clock at night, and I walk into this place, and there's this flamboyantly gay man who's dressed in like a super tight shirt, and he got a gut, and his gut is spilling out the shirt, but he got like a ponytail and, like, all kind. And I'm doing it, and I'm saying all this because I'm doing a lot of judging walking into this building. I'm seeing this dude, and I'm like, man, what the fuck is this dude? And why would they send me someplace like this? Like, I'm doing a lot of judging of this dude as I'm walking in. And I'm walking in there, and he sees me, and he just looks at me. He's like, man, it's late. You look hungry. And he goes into the cafeteria, which was closed. And I can hear him in there arguing with the chef or whoever it is that makes the food, arguing on my behalf for him to make me something to eat. at 11 o'clock at night because he knows I just came in from wherever I came in and I need something to eat. And it was just like this man, he didn't take a second to try to, and I looked horrible. Like I had been dehydrated for days, skin is peeling off my face. I left the hotel room with no shoes, no belt. Like my clothes is falling off me because I lost weight. I look as homeless as I am at that time. Now this man didn't he didn't take 2 seconds to try to figure out whether I was worthy of his help or who I was. I'm obviously there because I can't help myself at this point. And he went out of his way to try to take care of me and make sure I was good. So that was one of those first moments where I realized like I am very judgmental, and I think I'm better than a lot of people. And here I am now in a situation where I need these people who I used to think I was better than to help me out. And I'm here with them. Whatever I thought was so much better about me than all these folks, I have landed in the very same spot as they are. So how much different can I really be? And it was an eye-opening experience from there. I went from every place I went was state funded because I was unemployed and homeless. So I was with the folks there. I mean, I've been in some institutions with some real life sling blades. I've been in there with some people who don't have short term memory, and I had to reintroduce myself to them every day. Like I've been in some crazy places, and I had to realize that like these are my people. Like I'm not different or above any of these folks. I'm here with them. These are my folks, and I need to stop looking at people from that height.
That's a humbling experience for sure. I can't imagine what it would be like to have the childhood that you had, go to school and be the smart kid, the one who everyone just projects this amazing future for,
Yeah,
to hold like you're being modest about some of the places you work, sir, but you mentioned the White House, so we already know who we dealing with. We know you was that dude. And you said you lost, multiple jobs and things like that. To have that type of life and to have that self-confidence and that self-awareness and end up like this had to be like the most astounding, humbling experience.
and yet, in the midst of all of this, I'm probably in my third facility at this point. I done moved from one respite home to another respite home, and now I done got a bed in a rehab facility out in San Antonio. And I get there, this place look like, you ever seen the movie Holes with Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah, with Shia
Yeah,
LaBeouf.
that's what this place look like some sort of like prison camp sort of thing out in the middle of nowhere. It was work, and like this is my life. I'm here now, and I'm here because I can't afford to send myself to rehab. I'm homeless, and in that place, I spent my lunch breaks for like the first couple of days arguing with people about the merits of this program that they were trying to put us through. I still thought I was smarter than the people that were trying to give me help. So yeah, it took everything. It took a Herculean effort to humble me, and so I look at other people now. It's like it doesn't have to. You don't have to lose everything to learn this lesson. I had to, and I don't want the same thing to happen to you. You can learn how to be humble, and you can learn how to have gratitude, and all of these other things that I've had to learn to aid me in my recovery, without losing everything. But if you're unwilling to learn your lesson, life is going to teach you.
You ain't never lied. If you're not willing to learn your lesson, life is going to teach you a gem for those in the back. I hope you're listening. So, you said it took a Herculean experience to humble you. So you get there, this guy helps you right off the bat, you're humbled. But you still are at your third facility now, because that was the first facility, and you still think that you're better or smarter than the system.
Yep.
What finally gets you to say, I need to listen? Was it the tools you started to use? Was it the program that they were, introducing you to? Did you finally just decide to dive into the materials, read, study yourself, and come to it? Or what happened that opened that world for you to say, I'm gonna stop fighting it and see if I try this, if it actually works?
The funny part about it is pettiness and arrogance. Pettiness and arrogance
Mm.
is what led me to recovery. Because after several of these debates with people, where I'm still in here pontificating as if I'm a genius, and that's somehow how I landed in this homeless rehab facility. But you know,
Pontificating. I just want us to all let that sit and marinate. Okay, go ahead.
but yeah. So it got to the point where it was like, all right, I am going to prove to you that this program is nonsense by following it to the letter, and then when it fails, I can say, I told you so, and yeah, egg on my face.
But in the best way. Eat all of that crow from the rooter to the tutor, sir. Wow. You really were something else. You know what? I think I just discovered that I probably would have beat you up if I knew the old you. Yeah, like I don't think I would have liked you at all. Okay, so my next question for you is what tools did you use to assist you on your journey that you can tell us about?
Yeah. The first I do the thing that I'd like to say, like I like 12-step recovery. I believe in 12-step recovery. I'm not a person that says that's the only way to recover, and I'm not going to tell you what kind of 12-step program that you have to do. But for me and my experience, what got me through, so that it's the only thing I can speak on is the 12 steps. And I think what some people might not understand about the 12 steps is that there is only one step that mentions the substance. Step one mentions the substance. You're basically admitting that you're powerless over whatever that is: alcohol, sex, gambling. Because there's a rehab group for everything, but you're pretty much just admitting that you're powerless over that thing. And then the next 11 steps have nothing to do with that substance. It all has to do with living a way that doesn't require the substance. It doesn't living a way that you're not trying to escape from. So I had to learn how to be grateful. And I think you hear me talk about that a lot because gratitude it helps immensely in everything. There's a saying in the recovery community that people have never seen a grateful drunk. Because it's just like when you're grateful, what are you escaping from? What are you know you're already celebrating. You'll need to add to the celebration with something. You're not hiding from something. Like you're and there's always something to be grateful for. So I had to learn gratitude. I remember being in this prison camp of a rehab, scared to death. Like I was in there. That was the first time. It wasn't jail, but almost everybody I was in there with, there may have been three people that were voluntary patients or whatever. Me and two other dudes. Everybody else there was like a pretrial case, a fed case. I'm talking dudes that was facing a lot of time for either distribution or whatever. I'm in there with gang members, all kinds of stuff. Like, and this is a huge culture shock for me. But I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird thing. There are a lot of tools that I picked up there, and I don't regret having gone. I just don't want anyone else to have to end up in a prison camp to learn the lesson. Like it was not necessarily cool, but it taught me gratitude. And I remember being in that place and you know feeling how I felt about where I was. I'm just sleeping in a room that's just a bunch of bunk beds, probably 40 or 50 other dudes in the same room with me. I got somebody telling me when I can wake, when I can eat breakfast, when I can go to bed, when I can watch TV. We got a gun line I can't go past, or I don't know what's gonna happen. They're gonna shoot me. What? But in that space, I had to just every once in a while, if I found a moment where I was just at peace, maybe not even happy, just staring out the window, looking at a cloud, I would just stop myself and start. You know, I would pray. I'd say, thank you, God, for this moment of contentment. And and one of the things I learned that the more I did that, the more I read, the more I tried to acknowledge the moments where I was content, the more of those moments that I saw. What you look for, you find. If you think your life is horrible and you ruminate on the things that are negative, you're going to find them. There's always something to be negative about or to be unhappy about. But there's also always something to be grateful about. And if you put your energy into looking for that, looking for something to be grateful for, and acknowledging it, you'll be amazed at how much more gratitude you find. Like you just find yourself being grateful more often, and making that your focus rather than the negative. So that's probably the biggest tool I picked up: gratitude.
Wow. So just listening to you speak, it sounds to me like most of the stuff that you learned, we could all apply to our lives to help us with depression, anxiety, our kids running us crazy, exhaustion, to just, it almost sounds like mindful thinking. When I was into therapy consistently, I used to have to train my mind to stop ruminating, to stop fixating on bad thoughts. And so with what you've learned in recovery that you apply to stop drinking, do you use those same things in your everyday life now? Is this something that you're still utilizing to stay on this journey of recovery?
Yeah, and again, that's to me the most beautiful part about the 12-step program. Like my life on a daily basis is not about alcohol. Like the thought of alcohol, I don't live most days with the thought in my mind of I can't drink today. I don't. It doesn't even cross my mind. It's a blessing. It's a beautiful thing. I thank God for it. That alcohol does not cross my mind anymore. Because the way it used to cross my mind, something something terrible. But it's a blessing that I've found that place where it doesn't cross my mind anymore. But that's because of the other thing. I live a life that doesn't push me to those places. So like I was saying, 12 steps, there's only one step that mentions the substance. The other 11 steps are about life, being at peace with yourself. So, acknowledging and maybe even listing and writing down, what you feel like are your character defects, and working on those, asking God to help you with those, and working on those on a daily basis, asking for forgiveness when you've wronged somebody, so that you're not walking around with that guilt. Because people will drink to, not feel that guilt.
Get rid of
Yeah.
guilt. Yeah.
Addressing things when they come up, so that you're not holding on to resentments, so that you're not, it's my life is about not being negative, like not being resentful, not being upset, not being all of those things, because I know where those things lead. But I don't think about alcohol most days. I think about gratitude. I think about how can I help somebody else, because those are things that are going to keep me out of that space. So yes, I definitely use these things every day. I think they'd be beneficial for any, because it's just about living, like I said, at peace with the people around you. I like to be in homeostasis with the people around. If I can, I just want to be at peace and everybody be cool. I want to keep my side of the street clean. I can't spend my days worrying about, what you do and what you did wrong. What did I do? How can I make this situation better? How can I take the power back? Like a lot of it is about just taking the power back. Um, so much of my addictive life, I played the victim. I could stop drinking if people would just stop stressing me. If my job just
Mm.
wasn't so tough, I wouldn't have to do this. If she just wouldn't stop nagging, if she would stop nagging, I wouldn't need this beer. I wouldn't need this shot right now. If I didn't have all of this happening, if I just had more money, I wouldn't be stressed, and I would, I was the victim. It was everybody else's fault that I couldn't stop drinking, and once I decided it was my fault, then now I'm in the driver's seat. I got all the power. So a lot of it is, sometimes when I'm telling this stuff to people, it sounds like I'm taking the blame for things that other people did. I'm just looking for
You
where I can
know,
have the power.
and I love this. I love this because as I'm sitting here, well, first of all, let me just say this. Um, what's a character defect? It must be hard for people who have those. I wouldn't know nothing about that life.
I know you would. I know you would.
Um, Um, so, you know how we always say somebody has weaponized something, against us. Like you tell somebody a secret and then they weaponize that against you for blackmail or to belittle you or anything like that. I want to use the word armored. I feel like you've armored accountability because that's all you've done is you're taking accountability for your actions, but you're wearing it like armor. You're wearing it like a protective, um, but a strengthening thing. Like I'm going to put this on. I'm going to take accountability for everything that I've done wrong. I'm going to own it. So nobody else can use it against me. It's like a shield or a barrier from somebody trying to weaponize your past faults and things against you. I think that's brilliant. I think it's an absolutely amazing way to look at taking accountability for things that you may be ashamed of, that you might be embarrassed by or hurt by or just did you just feel like were bad things that you did? For you to say, "Yeah, that was me," is huge. And we have way more people in this world who I wish would think about it like that. So again, I am hoping that people are listening or picking up the gems that you are spitting for them right now, because that is a great way to think about taking accountability. I think so many people in this world have a problem with doing it because it's taking ownership of something bad, something that you may have done incorrectly, a misstep, you misspoke, you treated someone less than what you want to be known for, but you did it. You did it. Now that's your chance to own it and then make amends by not doing it again and getting better. So I appreciate, your spin on that. I like that.
And just real quick, because that is, you just mentioned like two of the steps, and it is a very freeing thing. One of the steps is you write down all of the things, you admit your wrongdoings to another human being, and that, like, hearing it going in, because it's not like they reveal the steps one by one. You get to see them all in the beginning, and you see that one, and you're like, I'm not really looking forward to going there, because you gotta admit your wrongdoings to another human being, and then the very next thing you do is go make amends for those things. And it sounds like a very tough and vulnerable and exposed position to be in, and it can seem like a hurdle when you're getting into this thing. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that, but I tell you, it's one of the most freeing things in the world, especially in the recovery community, because one of the things you'll learn fast is that you're not terminally unique. You're not so different. You know, you're I know when I was drinking, I was thinking you may be an alcoholic, but I'm an alcoholic. Alcoholic. Like, you don't drink like me though. Like I'm too far gone. I'm way worse than whatever you think. Like, I just thought I was so special that I was beyond help. You're not so special that you're beyond help. There are a lot of people that have gone through exactly what you've gone through, and when you get in these rooms and you start telling your stories that you think is going to turn heads or something, somebody gonna come right behind you and tell you something that's gonna make you look like a saint, and it's gonna be cool. So, like, yeah, it's a freeing moment to do that, to be able to get that stuff off your chest, to say to another human being the things that you've done, the horrible things that you've done in your life, and to have that person not be able to judge you, not want to judge you, but embrace you and keep moving forward and talk to you about how you can make amends for those things and how you can get past those things. I encourage people to do it.
Yeah. I think, or I wonder if some people have a hard time with the making amends part because they haven't actually completely done the work and they themselves don't believe the promises that they're trying to make or the things that they're saying. When you go and you tell someone, I'm sorry for what I did to you and I promise to never do it again, or I'm sorry for what I did to you. Let me make it up to you. How can I make amends? But in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I don't really know if I'm done with this yet. So maybe it's hard and people do not want to address that part yet because they're not fully sure they're at that part yet.
One of the cool things for me is that what I learned about, and everybody's experience is different, so it's not, not to say that this would be your experience in recovery, but one of the things I had to become familiar with was what they call a living amends. And so a lot of my amends, because they are with people, I am making amends to people who I still have close, continuous contact with. A lot of my amends are living amends. The idea being, we're not going to sit down and go dredge up everything that I did to you and reopen those wounds and have you relive those situations. What I can do for you to make amends for who I was is to be better and to allow you to see that I can be better to you. If I was a bad husband to you when we were married, well, now I get to be a good friend and a good co-parent. And that's the way I can make my amends to you. But we're not going to sit down and have some come to Jesus about how bad, because that's probably more destructive and does more harm than good. I can just be a better person. So a lot of the amends that you may make to people is just being better and just allowing them to see you better. For some people, that's all they want. They just wanted to see you in a good place. It just hurt them to see you where you were.
I bet that rings super true for parents. I mean, I get the husband and the wife aspect and things like that, but when it's somebody that you gave birth to and you raised, to see them down bad and I heard bad and have those sleepless nights and maybe even those nights where when the phone rang, you just didn't want to answer because you thought it was going to be, that thing. I bet that rings super true for them. Okay, so the next question is, what have you learned most about yourself during recovery?
I've learned. I think the most important thing I've learned, and this may rub some people the wrong way, but for me, is that I'm an addict. It's the same way I feel about being diagnosed with the bipolar and anxiety disorder. I know, I know what's going on with me. I know what the issue is, and because I know what the issue is, I can now make a game plan for you know how to handle life with these things. So yeah, I'm one of those people who emphatically identifies as an addict because for me to stay sober, I have to remember what I am for me. And so yeah, I think coming to that realization and being able to identify that, to not feel, I don't feel shame when I say it. Um, I don't feel embarrassment when I say it. It is who I am, and you know, it doesn't have to control my actions. It doesn't have to control what I do. It doesn't have to lead me to make mistakes anymore. But I want to say, I don't know who it was. It might have been Sada Shakur or Angela Davis, one of the two. But to become free, one must first become acutely aware that they're a slave. Like for me to plot a course forward, to wake up every morning and know how I need to live my life in order to have a good day at night, I have to be honest with myself about who I am. The moment I forget that I'm an addict, and I say addict because alcohol was just the easiest thing to get. You know, if I think the people around me, certain things they probably wouldn't have sold me, but yeah, alcohol was just the easiest thing to get. I would have done whatever, and I tried a lot of stuff. I was at one point, I was ordering stuff off Google and
If it's got
Amazon.
bugs in it, please, because I can't do no
Nah,
more
I ain't do
bugs.
no. It
So if
wasn't. It
it's
wasn't no
okay,
bugs. It wasn't no bug. But yeah, I was running from side. I just wanted my 15 minutes where I didn't feel like I had to pee.
that analogy is something else. Okay, now this is going to be a slight segue, and then I'm going to get us back on track. But real quick, you just named, being in recovery, being an addict, um, having being diagnosed with anxiety disorder and bipolarism. When you're dating, at what point do you tell? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just curious because that's a lot to just throw on somebody. So, at what point during the dating stages do you tell a female those things? Like in your current relationship, how long did you wait to tell her that, or did you just come right out the box and say, "Hey, this is this, this, and this"? You still think I'm cute?
Hey, I mean, I'm 42, and the woman that I'm dating is, I think we're old enough that it was just like, hey, you know, this is either gonna work or it's not gonna work, and let's figure it out sooner than later. So, what you got? Put your cards on the table, and we just talked. We asked questions.
What you
We
got?
talked about you know childhoods and stuff. Just came out as a part of natural conversation. But I'm not a, and this was one of the promises of the 12 steps that you would reach a point where you would not regret your past or wish to shut the door on it. I'm speaking verbatim from the book at this point. But yeah, not regretting the past and not wishing to shut the door on it. Seeing how it could benefit others was a promise of this program, and I've landed there.
Beautiful. And I agree with that. Like we've on my radio show and on my anytime I've been on a podcast and on this one, I've talked before about me being the type of person who is open and honest up front. I don't believe in wasting people's time. So if you date somebody and y'all have a great time for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or a year, and then you throw all of this out there, it's not fair because you might have a whole slew of things someone does not want to deal with. And now they have fallen for you, spent all this time, effort, money, intimacy on you, and they got to walk. Now that they know this stuff, because those are deal breakers. So I agree. And I appreciate you for being upfront with people. Okay, so the next question is, how do you view drinking now? Like if someone like no, I'm asking you, if you were to just envision you being in front of a drink and just taking a shot, what does that make you think, or how do you view that?
That in that moment, that decision for me is life and death. If I choose, if I the day I choose to take another drink, I am choosing to die. And I don't want anybody to get that confused and think that I am saying that I'm gonna take that shot and I'm just gonna keel over on the spot. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm going to survive the shot. I can drink you under the table. Trust me. But
Oh my god. There go the arrogance. You can't take it out. Not completely.
under the table,
Mm-mm.
anyway. But
Oh my gosh. Ridiculous.
but you know, man, I lost my place. What was I saying?
See, exactly. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is where the shame
Where
comes
the
in.
same coming.
No. You were talking about you're not gonna keel over after
Yeah,
you
no,
take
I'm
the
not
shot.
gonna
That's
kill
not what
over
you
and take
mean.
the shot after I take a shot. But it would set in motion the chain of events that would lead to my death. I know, like I said, I am aware of who and what I am, and I am an alcoholic. I have addictive tendencies, and I know how alcohol affects me. I know I like it, and I know if I like something a little bit, I want all of it. So the moment if I was to take a drink, I know the road that I'm going down, and I know where it leads. So that's how I look at it. I look at drinking as life and death for me, and just for me. I enjoy being around other people that drink. It's fucking hilarious to me. I love y'all. Watching people like trying not to look drunk when somebody was walking. Like I now know that all of y'all knew. So first of all, forget all of y'all. Cause nobody said anything to me about how I was moving in these streets. I know the people I work with knew I was drinking. I know if you saw me on a Tuesday, you knew I was drinking. And y'all people act like you ain't know nothing. And I thought I was getting away with something. I now know I wasn't getting away with a damn thing. Cause I see you people out there watching your feet when you walk. Cause you can't go straight. I see you.
Mm-mm-mm. How long have you been clean and sober?
It'll be 6 years in February, God willing.
6 years in February. God willing. Okay, if you could, I can't even read my own handwriting. If you could give anyone battling addiction advice, or if you could give advice to anyone battling addiction, what would it be? It took me way too long to put that question together. That's a dang on shame. Oh my God.
There's nothing there's nothing wrong or weak or annoying about you seeking help. Like I promise you, I cannot impress upon you enough the amount of people chomping at the bit can't wait to help. And because they need it, you would be doing them a favor. You would be helping them out to allow them to help you. So if you have the smallest inkling that you might, need some help on that level, reach out and I promise you someone will reach back. It can, if it has to be me, if I would love it for it to be me. I'd love to help you out if I can, but but
Nah, we have quite a few people who listen to this podcast and they could share this all over the world. So go ahead and start finding out where all of the meeting places are in every state because you
oh
just
yeah,
open yourself up for this.
there are apps for that.
All the names of the
Yeah,
sponsors.
there are apps for that. There are apps for that. I tell you a funny story about sponsors and stuff like that. Like I remember that being a first of all, I got my sponsor. My sponsor chose me. I didn't choose my sponsor. My sponsors chose me. A little 75-year-old French man just walked up to me one day with I had my headphones on. He just started talking and wouldn't stop talking until I took my headphones off. And he was, you here? How long you been sober? Have you done the 12 steps? You trying to do it? 12 months, I get you through the 12 steps. You enter, you out. That's how he phrased it to me. Like he basically just put me on the spot and was like, are you serious about getting better or not? I'll get you through the 12 steps in 12 months, but you got to say right now whether you enter, you out. And I took him up on his offer, and I thank him to this day for that. But yeah, I had to walk around with way more dudes' numbers in my phones than I was comfortable with for a while when
Oh
I
my
was trying to find a
God.
sponsor. Like walking up to
I'm not.
dudes, asking
I'm
them for
not.
their number, it was mad weird.
You are something else. Again, I think this was an extraordinary episode. I've asked all of my questions. Is there anything else you want to let the people know? Anything else you want to share?
Just if you're going through it, or if you're dealing with somebody that's going through it, understand it's not a flaw in your character. It's not a problem with your morality. It's not an issue with your discipline. The 75-year-old French man that got me through the 12 steps was an Olympic athlete. You can't tell me that man wasn't disciplined. You can't tell me, he didn't know how to dedicate himself to something. This thing, it gets people and it attaches certain people and it can destroy lives. But it's not. You don't have to judge yourself for falling victim to it. And if you're looking at somebody that's going through it, please try to be as try to be as non-judgmental as you possibly can and understand that they're hurting, that they probably running from something, and what they need more than anything is connection and community and closeness. And if you can, and sometimes that's too much to ask. It's difficult to be around people in these states, and they probably don't want to be around you because they don't want you to see them in that state. But I'll tell you this: a how you doing, or just checking on you, or hope you okay text message goes a long way. Even if you don't get a response, they saw it, they read it, and it let them know somebody was there. So, yeah, community connection. That's what we need.
Now that you say that, tonight, I'm going to send a text message to this person in my family who needs this help for sure. And because for whatever reason I still care about his well being, I am going to text him tonight and I am going to let him know that I just recorded an amazing episode, part two of a two-part amazing episodes about this. And let him know that I'm here for him. And if he should decide to want to seek help, I'll even attend with him. He doesn't have to do it by himself. I feel like
That means a lot.
he's been dealing with this for a very long time. For a very long time. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people in our family have tried to help him or offered or suggested it out of fear, out of exhaustion, out of being overwhelmed. But I'm not close to him in that way where he's destroyed me with this. We have our other issues, but I only know about this stuff in passing and hearsay. But if he needs somebody to hold his hand or just stand there strong with him or be that shoulder or hold him accountable, I am willing to do that for him. And I don't even know why. You did you. So now I'm mad at you, first of all. However, but I feel like I could at least put it out there. You know, what you just said about even if they don't respond, it may not be tomorrow. It could be a year from now. I just want him to know that there is somebody who's not going to judge him for the stuff that I've heard he's done. Um, and I'm willing to walk
Uh,
with him as long as he needs me to.
Just a quick story on that. Somebody might find this interesting. But so when I was in that hotel room, when I had tried to drink myself to death, and I'm throwing up blood and everything, like right before I went into my stupor or whatever, I got a text from a friend. We worked together, and he noticed that I hadn't been coming to work, and he just sent me a text. And he kind of knew, I was going through a lot, and so his text wasn't judgmental. His text wasn't, "Hey man, where are you? What are you doing? Get your life together." He just simply texted me, "What can I do to help?" And I did not respond for 3 days. And on that third day, when my blood pressure was so low that they couldn't find a pulse, you know, when I'm on death's door, that message was what I remember. And I responded 3 days later as if, he just sent it. The last message to me was, "How can I help?" And I said, "Man, come take me to the ER." And, and he showed up. But I'm saying, like, those, you don't know, those messages hit. Even if you don't hear back from them, they saw it and it's in there and they know that you're there. And maybe, in the moment where they need to reach out to somebody, your name comes to mind because, you put it there. So you never know.
Another great episode. Okay. Anything else?
Reach out. Reach out. That's a show of strength.
Yeah, it is. Because you have a long road ahead of you and put your armor on. And put your armor on. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to this again. Just like last time, please share these episodes. Listen to them over and over again. If this is something that you're going through, share them wherever. Come like, come subscribe, come talk to us in the comments. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Find us on Facebook. Find me on Instagram. And until you hear us next week, Remember to be good to yourself and be kind to others, or whatever it is I be saying at the end of these shows at this point. Holla.
Holla.